Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. And in the previous episode, we built this little mountainside enclave with a couple of dams and some public utilities that were much needed for the city. But there were mistakes made here on Intestine Way, as Biffa has lovingly called it. And as a result, I think we all know what needs to happen here.
Astrologists report that a devastating meteor will strike the city in the near future.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Okay, we're not going to do that, but we are going to make some improvements here that will be very destructive. Some mulligans will be made, and this whole area will be better for it. So first of all, this is a gigantic switchback, and I know that it is not the prettiest switchback in the world. I think that we can do something about that, and part of it's going to be constructing it appropriately. So the main issue that we have here is that there are still angles around the curves, which is not very realistic. So we're going to fix that. We're also going to take a look at some of these lots here. We have little homes kind of at the bottom of the cliff. One of the things that I really liked that was mentioned in the comments is perhaps I shouldn't have any zoning along the bottom side of the cliff, and there should just be plateaus as we're going down. And I really, really like that idea. So we're going to take that and run with it. And then we're also going to add in a tunnel here to connect these two. So we'll reconfigure this road just a little bit, and we're going to add some cable cars, because in this particular area, it makes a ton of sense. So that will change a little bit of what this looks like and what we do, but I think it's going to make this whole area much better. So let's go for it. And I, as always, really appreciate the feedback that you guys have given. So let's start out. We're going to get rid of this first curve. And the way that we're going to accomplish this is there's going to be a lot of terraforming today. So we're going to come through here. Here's where we started out. We're going to flatten it out here. And I'm going to start out by making that turn right off the bat. And then from there, we're just going to right mouse click up here, left mouse click right here, and bring this up. Now I'll probably have to get rid of all these homes to make it happen, but it'll work just fine. And then we'll use the curved road tool to make our connection. Highlight that. There we go. So I'm going to do this along the entire mountainside, so a lot of destruction, and we will cut back to that in just one moment. Okay, so we're back, and I've done some things here. So a lot of terrain modifications, and you can see all of the curves are pretty consistent at this point. They round the corner nicely, and for the most part, we have flat areas around the curves and then a drop off once you get around. So to me, this works a lot better. It's a lot more realistic and reasonable, but we're not done. And we're going to totally detail this area. And I really want to remove the appearance of this being, a slum. That was one thing that I saw crop up in the comments on more than one occasion. So I have removed every single building because we are trying to approach the height of realism right now. And the height of realism is obviously demolishing every single building when what they're doing doesn't suit your needs. So what I'm going to do now is come along and make sure that the flat portions of this are off the uppermost road. So I want homes only on this side of the road, not on this side here. It's going to be on this side, although this is really narrow. We're going to do the exact same thing here. And I'm going to try anyway. It's looking like there's a lot less space than I would prefer there to be. And I've run out of soil. So that's always a constant issue as well. I'm going to steal some from up here because I need soil, and it's not going to be very much. I think that what I might do is just along this road generally steal some soil. Yeah, that's not going to do all that much for me, unfortunately. So, one little stowaway house there. And I removed all the zoning here, so that should be okay for me. I will need to do some work with the terrain modifications, though. So let's see what we can do with the soil that we have. I just want to see how deep we are actually going with our zoning, because it looks like I could take a row of soil from here. So I'm going to actually do that. Just steal some from here because I need any soil that I can get, because I'm going to be taking this and pulling it out. So there's actually a number of places where I'm going to need to take soil out, and I'm going to run out repeatedly. So yeah, it's going to be one of those days. So at this point, it's really, I just need to find a place where I can have a reliable source of soil. Along these roads is probably as good as any. Backing them off is going to be a benefit to us anyway. And maybe this isn't the most realistic solution, but reasonably, if we needed soil this badly, we would likely be purchasing it. Or we would work out some sort of environmental solution. It'd be tough anyway. I mean, you'd be working with the Department of Natural Resources to get this to happen. And what I'm doing right now doesn't even really seem to be helping. What it's doing is just taking soil from one spot and pushing it to the other. So I'm gonna really go for the height of realism here and do my favorite thing to do, which is just go out into the ocean, find a spot that has some extra soil. Maybe we'll just take some from out here. There we go. Now we're completely filled up with soil. So I should be able to do whatever I need to do without struggling. At least that's the hope. We'll see if it actually happens. So I want to just come through here and level the terrain basically south of the road to be equal with the road. And then the bottom we're not going to worry about. We are going to need to remove a ton of trees though, because we don't want any trees on the cliffside. And then I think I am, since I have the extra soil now, I'm going to pull out some extra building pads near the corners. You'd have some excellent views there. So I would anticipate that these would be very desirable lots as far as hillside lots go. And really, this wouldn't happen in the game, or like I'm doing it in the game. They plan the roads so that the roads take advantage of this. But in vanilla particularly, this is the easiest way to approach it. And we're going to play the game. Okay, so I've finished all of the leveling, and you can see that what it has done is created some building pads here. But we have one major issue. If we come back and look, we're going to see that some of our pads are divided between the top and the bottom of the mountainside. So there is a solution for this, and it will be tedious, so I'm not going to subject you to all of this, but I will show you what my plan is to do. So we're going to turn angle on, and I'm going to come along here. I could turn road guidelines on if I were really looking for pain, but I'm not. So rather than doing that, we're just going to have angle on, and what I'm going to do is follow the bottoms of the road. And this will look a bit like a retaining wall, which I think is going to be a really neat aesthetic, and you'll be able to see exactly what it does. And the way that I'm going to follow this is that little dirt outline that's on the road. I'm just going to more or less mirror this. Okay, so I like the look of this because to me it looks a bit like a retaining wall. This is the zoo wall, but the real reason I'm doing this is even in a modded build, I would need to be able to keep the zoning on one half of the road, and this will allow me to do it. So on the back end where you see this, I'll come through here and watch what happens. It does not like some of what's happening here, but that's okay. It's still working out in the places we need it to, so we're just going to keep rolling with it. I'm going to finish the rest of this up, and then we'll come back and take a look at the next step. Okay, so now we have all of our fences up. We've got some weird trees at this point, and that's I guess that's what I'll call them charitably. They're the trees that are on the cliff, just kind of growing up into the side. We're going to get rid of those. So that will be a little bit of work, but we're going to do it. Okay, by a little bit of work, I meant just a little bit, because it honestly wasn't that bad. The next thing I want to do is look at our zoning. And you can see that there are a few spots where the zoning is just a little bit off. Like right here, why isn't there any zoning? There's an easy fix for that. You come and you can upgrade the road and then downgrade it. And now your zoning gets upgraded. Truthfully, there are many places on this development that I think could probably benefit from doing this. It might just be valuable to go through here and upgrade all the roads. My only fear is that we start demolishing some of the fences that we put up. It looks, as I kind of hover around here, like we're going to be okay. So I think I'm just going to upgrade this to be a tree-lined street. That will remove the parking. No, we're going to just go with the grass on the side. Okay, and I think there was only one spot that the game said no. And that was right here. So what we're going to do is just get rid of that. I will turn on my road guidelines and the curved road tool and just make it manually. Easy fix, not a problem. And now I just want to go through and make sure that we didn't have any zoning pop up where we didn't want it to. I see a couple of spots, just a couple. So we're going to go through and just add our fences there. We're going to spend some time on this. You know, this is something we want to get right. Now, if you see this height too high issue, the way that I've been able to fix that is just to go ahead, grab this terrain for the lower road, back this out just a little bit, and then we'll be able to snap onto this and still get the height is too high. Okay, we'll try again. It's still mad at me, which to me means that it must be this fence. There we go. And we've removed zoning again. And that one's gone for good. There's nothing I can do about that, short of potentially pulling this back out. We'll see what that does. Okay, and you know, we could really try to make this absolutely perfect, or we could accept a little bit of imperfection and wait for this to fill in with development to start really tinkering with it. And I think that's what we're going to do. But before we do this, I want to go ahead and make this a district. Okay, and so for our new district, I actually didn't really receive many names in the comments, but I think I have the perfect name for this. We're going to go with Ladera Heights. So Ladera means hillside, so it's Hillside Heights, which is a little bit redundant, but I like it. And the other thing that we're going to do here is set some policies, but we're going to first assign a district theme first. So this is going to be a green district. We're going to really pump up the value here. It's also going to have organic and local produce. So we have self-sufficient buildings, organic and local produce. So make sure I got my districts here. And then I'm going to go into our policies and make sure that we have high-tech housing. And this should really boost the value in this area. We're going to have electric cars as well. So anyone who lives here must switch to an electric car if they live here. Truthfully, it's let's see, $21.50. So I've been dead for a long time, as have most of us, all of us. Maybe we live forever by that point. Who knows? But I would assume that electric cars are the norm, or everyone's flying around in pods. Either way, shouldn't be abnormal, but we're going to make it abnormal here. So I like that. So the last thing I want to do before we start zoning is think about our cable cars. So let's get that set up. With the cable car, you need the end of the line, and then you also need the middle stops. So we're going to have the end of the line. We're going to set that up right off the bat. One at the top. Now let's back this out so we can actually clip this somewhere. And then one at the bottom. And I really wish that this wasn't going to be such an awkward change, but it's very clear that it's going to be very awkward. So we'll just add a couple of stops, and I'm going to need to add more ground here where the stops are going to be, because it's just, there's not enough space. The other thing, I'm concerned that this is not the right angle, so we're gonna call a mulligan on this one. We'll just pull this out a little bit. So, fun fact, over the holidays, one of the gifts that my daughters got was a Pokemon card battle set, which really brought me back to the good old days of playing Pokemon myself. And one of the things that's really interesting about it is they allow you to call a mulligan. And I had to chuckle just a little bit. All right, so there we go. This is not perfect. We are going to make it more perfect than it is over time. So we'll see how this works for the time being. So we need to connect these all, and that is going to be a little bit of a trick. And one of the reasons it's going to be a trick is the angle that we need to go at. So this, for instance, is not going to work. We're going to need to turn this. I wish that this is where Move It can come in really handy. because this angle right here, it's not conducive to the cable car. Now, the only solution that I'm going to have is not a good one, and that is to actually add a roadway segment here, which should give me the angle that I need. That would not ever fly in a million years. That's a terrible junction, but for our purposes, it's going to be very, very good. So I'm going to now run this up. We'll see how this goes. That's a straight connection. That to me is terrifying. We're not going to do that. We need to have some sort of pole on another height. Yeah, that comes off as more reasonable to me. I could be wrong. What do I know about cable cars? I never worked in Medellin or anything like that, so I don't know. So this is another troublesome spot. I really wanted this to line up right here. That did not happen. So I am going to try to reorient this a little bit, and it's not gonna agree with me. So I will have to make lemonade out of this lemon that I have right here. And apparently now it's okay. So I might have to deal with a bit of uncomfortable. You're really, and that's a steep drop. I hope that this cable is strong. And then we can make our final connection. That one's pretty easy. So you don't have anything over here, but this is going to help people get up and down here quickly and hopefully pedestrianize this a bit, because that's certainly one of the concerns in this area is it's just not very pedestrian friendly. And that's totally to be expected when you have this kind of development. So now we need to plan out where we're going to have some of our city services. So we'll place our zoning first, actually. So I'm going to zone commercial around this little pod here and back this off so I can have a complete commercial node. And then we'll connect this up here. And I want to think about the rest of my commercial as well. There's not going to be a lot. There was more before, but I'm thinking of backing off a little bit from that. Maybe take some of these smaller lots on some kind of random areas and add in what will end up being, Whole Foods and farmers markets. So I think that'll be a good fit in this particular area. Here, we're going to have commercial across the street from the residential, and rather than spending time putting commercial on this side, we know those views are really good and really valuable, so we're going to save those for residential properties. And then we're going to need some protection and other city services out here. That was something that was mentioned in the comments that I wanted to get to but didn't get to in the previous episode. So at the very top here, we're going to put a fire watchtower. Seems like a fairly logical location. Actually, if we zoom out, you can see that this is probably a better area from a coverage standpoint. We're going to have a second one up there and get rid of this one, even though it looks cool right there. This is the best bang for our buck. So we're good there. Let's talk about hospitals and death care and things of that nature. We're going to sneak some of these on this road in areas that are potentially a little bit less valuable because you have a view of the dam, which isn't the most exciting view in the world. So we'll place these kind of in a row here. We're going to have some housing on this side and pull this up. The other thing that we're going to include over here are community schools, but we're going to integrate this well into the neighborhood. And I'd love to get this close to a cable car so kids from across this neighborhood could reach the school. We're not going to have a high school. Kids will have to take the bus for that, because I just don't think that the population density out here is quite high enough to justify that. There won't be enough homes. So this should do the trick. Let's see where our water pipes go, because we're going to need to extend that. And I think we're just going to finish off the development around here. So we will just include all of that. We're actually missing one more amenity that I know that Doc is going to mention in the comments, or should, and that is we do not have a post office. So this I'm going to actually include right here. This is a more important, type of use that you'd expect people would want to see. we're gonna terraform a bit into the hillside to make this one work. And I'm gonna upgrade this because now that I've done that terraforming, I can fill this zoning in a bit more. I'm gonna let this extend here just to see what happens with the assets that we get. If I don't like that, or if it just comes off as a bit too hokey, we're gonna get rid of that. And then I know this isn't necessary, but this is gonna bug me, so I'm going to dezone that. And now I'm gonna feel better about that development in general. Same thing here. I'm gonna get rid of some of these kind of cheesed zones. So there we go. And now the moment that we've all been waiting for, our residential properties. So I'm going to start running this. All of these people will wake up to see their homes missing. They drive to try to get to their driveway, and there's no driveway to be found. And the road is moved. And everything looks a little bit different. So that would be a little bit shocking. Okay, so we are all zoned up at this point, and things are starting to move. Let's let this run for just a moment and see what we get. Okay, and I've let this run for a couple minutes, and things are developing slowly. I'm not 100% sure why, but I am seeing some things that I don't like, and because of that, I'm going to make some changes. And I figured this could happen, but as these developments are a little bit too close to the hillside, what they're doing is causing some tearing to occur. So since we are already doing some things that are maybe not the most realistic, I think that we're gonna continue our trend and just try to make this look as nice as we can, because really that's what I'm trying to prevent. Is I do not want this to look like, some sort of hillside slum that developed on its own, and I don't want it to look completely unnatural. So we're gonna take some liberties here. The nice thing is that now I can already see what isn't gonna work, so that should help me as I go through these. And it looks like for some of these we got lucky that larger developments didn't occur. So I'm quite pleased with that. So now we're looking better. Maybe this one's not great. Yeah, that's not great. So we'll prevent that from being a thing. And at least now that there aren't any homes falling off the cliffs. That's the main thing I want to prevent. This is interesting. Over here we get solar charging with a beautiful view, and we get a whole bunch of it. Next to, what is this? Sir Cutlass. So I don't know if this is, haircuts? No. Oh, no. It's a steakhouse? Maybe? Sushi? I don't know. It doesn't quite make sense to me, but that's probably because I'm just missing something. So, but it's looking a lot nicer. Now, I do notice that there's some tearing. I don't know how to fix that. I did add a mod temporarily as an experiment, and I didn't like, so it's called Rotterdam, and it removed all the hillside textures, and to me it made the whole game look a little bit too, I guess, round. I don't know a better way of putting it, but it got rid of some of the weird textures that you see. I miss it, and I'm also glad it's gone at the same time. I feel really conflicted. So if you look back, there's a couple of episodes I didn't talk about it. I wanted to see if anyone would notice, and I don't think I saw it mentioned once in the comments. So don't think it was a huge impact, but it was a thing. Now, we're just going to keep having some of these small developments occur that are just a little bit funky, so probably just have to go through and do that. We are going to just hide some of this, though, too. That's the other option that we have, and that is to go in and add in some landscaping to fix some of these things. Not really much fixing for that, though. Maybe this? Just put a tree there. That makes it better. I don't think that helped anything at all. Maybe we just need to let good enough be good enough in certain instances. One thing that we can do, though, is kind of come out, and where we get these very unnatural shapes, just pull this out just a bit. That'll look a lot, that feels a lot better to me. Ooh, that's interesting. It terraforms the side of the hill to line up with this post. Also, I moved some roads. You can see what I've done because now our water pipes are no longer underneath the road, and that is going to cause us some problems. Okay, there we go. Now we're all fixed up. And you know, I've got to say, after filming the most recent Trattoria and kind of going through that whole series without the Green Cities DLC, it's given me a new appreciation for this DLC. And when I made the DLC video a while back, I know there were a number of people that felt that I got it wrong when it came to not having the Green Cities DLC listed higher than I had it. And at the time, I kind of brushed it off and said, well, you know, it's all opinion. But my opinion on that has changed. I think that it is a fantastic DLC and one of the very best. And I regret not having that higher on my list because after seeing the way the game changes, playing without it for a while, that's been the most interesting part of Trattoria is actually experiencing the game in a way that I haven't really experienced it in years. So to go back and now play again with the game without Green Cities, you realize just how important it is to the game and just how much the game kind of suffers without it. So to me, I don't necessarily love all of the assets in that came with it. Like, you know, I have some of the same complaints with Green Cities that I have with you know, After Dark, for instance. Where you get the tourism buildings that are just massive, that don't really fit the scale of anything else. But it's so good. There's so many great assets in it. And even these, they're just stunningly beautiful, even if all the lots are dirt or gravel. I'll give it a pass now. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments how you feel about the Green Cities DLC. Was I overly harsh in my DLC video? And is my change of heart appreciated? So there we go. We made some progress on this. I want to get to the next thing, which is something that is going to be a lot of fun. I went back and forth on whether or not this is something I should do, and that is have a tunnel in between these two dams. So we're going to do that. That will be very problematic for these folks, considering there's a lot of need for this pumping service over here. But we're going to go for it. So for this, we'll have Angelon and road guidelines. This is probably not a project that would be a very high priority on anyone's list, but boy, would it be a neat project. So I really don't like what it's doing when I just try to force it. So I'm going to pull that up to there, then send this down. And I've got to go all the way to the lowest terrain height that I can. And that is really ugly. That is terrible. Okay, let's give that another go. And we'll go straight from this bridge down to sinking this into the ground. Slope is too steep. Oh, and we're going to run into more issues. We need to be able to connect to that road. So we'll try one more time. I think I can make that work. So we're going to come through now. I'm going to turn on the curved road tool. Actually, we're not going to. We're going to do the exact same thing on this side. So we'll make sure that we can make our road connection. Ooh, that is tough. We're going to need to do a bit of terraforming. And then I'll make sure that we can get that connection to happen. And now we'll go through and sink this down. And I want to see how that's not my favorite, but I think we can live with that. And then we'll come through here, use our curved road tool and make our connection. It's a little bit ugly. So I'm going to attempt to make this look a little bit better. I'll need to do something on this side as well. This side is considerably easier, even if I don't love the way that you're basically going straight up into a tunnel. That's pretty unavoidable though, with this being vanilla. So we'll have to live with a bit of imperfection, and it's even worse when I connect that road. Straight up into that tunnel. This one, at least, is pretty flat. It might dip down a bit. That's okay. We will have to use our imagination there, but our imagination that it's a better job. And we've created some extra space over here, so I will force these business owners out of their property so that we can get some bigger businesses in there. There we go. And that is looking good in my opinion. We've got a nice little development up here. We're starting to fill in and burn down. But thankfully, Verde Beach's finest firefighters are on it. And because of them, we don't have to worry. Even if this person, their house looks like burnt metal. maybe not the most attractive house anymore. Thankfully, the houses will repair themselves. I am curious. We've got, an area like this where things just look odd now. Of course, I haven't made it any better by destroying the homes, but thought I'd give it a shot. Okay, so some of this is just going to take a little while to fill in, but I think that we're moving in a good direction here. I'm going to let this... Actually, I can't let this go because we're not going to have demand. Our commercial demand is just far too high here. I'm wondering... So right now, we've got this long road coming up here. If I upgrade this and make this a proper highway, so let people kind of speed to the neighborhood, and then the other thing I want to do is upgrade this road to a highway. There is just no reason for this to be a dirt road. We've spent the money to do all the grading. We're going to spend the money to pave the road too. And this will provide some good access over here, which is desperately needed. This area has been difficult to serve. Ooh, I do not like that though. We're gonna get this fixed. Not sure what happened there, but we know that this is an easy fix as long as we have our road guidelines on. It is not actually. The angle is really challenging here. We've got this earthquake sensor, but I can back that off, and then we're going to take this road and modify it just a bit. And now we can get a nice angle here. There we go. And I'll even move this to be closer to the road again. There we go. And our power connections are still there. So I'm pleased with that. I think that's a much better look over here, and things appear to be moving. It's going to take a little while for this to fill in, but I do want to have a little bit of an understanding of the neighborhood. Land value, not good, and that is because we have not placed any parks. So we're going to do that. We're going to place just a couple of parks in the neighborhood before things fill in. Dog parks, obviously everyone loves a dog park, so we'll place one of those in a place where we can fit it. There are not going to be many other opportunities. So a fishing island actually is one of the better opportunities that we have. Problem is, we pop in here. The only place that really fits is probably over here. We don't have a road going over here, and it's way too high. So even if we did have that road, it's just not going to work. But I do think that we could... Wait, what? I thought I saw it work for a second over here, which wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, it's not going to work the way I was hoping. Might just have to stay away from those and stick with other assets if there's any space. The problem is we just don't really have a lot of space for different parks. So with that, yeah, we could have like a skate park maybe, but yeah, there's not a lot. Volleyball. How about a basketball court? It's not gonna work either. And if you think about the logistics of this, let's say we were to put it here, if it would let us, which it's not going to. Basketball's going off into the river, down the hill. Not a good situation. This is all bad. And what that means to me is that the only way that we could really facilitate a park here would be to create a custom park. And there's not really a lot of space for that either. So we might just have to live with a bit of unfortunate land value. The one park that might fit is the Japanese garden. That one is just a nice 4x4 park. We'll sneak a couple of these in because there's not really much else that we can do. And who doesn't love a nice Japanese garden? There we go. So that will help with our land values. It's a little redundant and boring, but, and of course, apparently this is, we're turning this into a place that's very Japanese inspired by having all of those. We have not just that, but we have a Japanese building over here. Maybe there's some Japanese immigrants that are here, or Japanese settlers that have been here for many years and have congregated in this area. Hard to say, but certainly something that we could see. We could go and see if there are other Japanese buildings that would potentially fit. We're running out of them. We've placed so many of these at this point. We've got, looks like a ramen restaurant and a service station. And I'm saving the service station. The ramen restaurant we could certainly place. That's a bit smaller. And this could be the place, and we're gonna evict these people again. We'll say that this is one of those places that I'm thinking of, like I think the Los Angeles Times releases the 101, the list of 101 best restaurants in Los Angeles, and with the 101. Some of the places they pick are pretty obscure, kind of out on the side of roads. This will be one of those places. It'll be a really fantastic ramen restaurant that everyone in downtown Verde Beach is aware of, and makes the trek all the way out here to get it. So this is probably one of the reasons why things aren't running very fast for me. It was at 60% the entire episode, and I did not realize how slow things were moving. So I cranked it to 3 times the speed. So it's 3 times 60. We were going 180%. So that is probably an issue. I apologize and I'm embarrassed by that. But even at that, I think that we are about as developed as we're going to be for the time being. I want to spend just a little bit of time decorating with some landscaping. We haven't had a good landscaping session in a while, and it's about time. So I'm going to go through that and do that right now. Okay, now I think we're looking a lot better. Landscaping is one of those things that I really think separates a higher end neighborhood from one that, maybe isn't as well off. It's just one of those things. Landscaping is very expensive. If you've ever landscaped your yard, or anyone else's yard for that matter, you will quickly find this out. And if you have someone do it for you, holy cow, I will get my hands dirty. But this is looking really good. I think that we need to do something real quick, and that's zoom in on this roof and have a city tour. So I realized that there's one thing that I missed. I forgot to look at the utilization of our cable car system. So right here at the end of the line, we have 48 passengers. Up here, we've got 16. Not really surprising. This is kind of remote. Here, 12. And then at the very top, 60. Again, there's destinations up here. 60 people want to get to the post office. And it's interesting. As we're going through this, I see postal trucks coming up and down this, and a transit vehicle. What is this? I think we're gonna have to look at that in the next one. Okay, and with the flammability of this neighborhood intact, I feel like, there's only one more thing to do, and that is really to honor Biffa. We're gonna go in here. Let's turn on our road names, because we've got to name this road. There we go. In honor of Biffa, Intestine Way. And it's fitting. It looks very intestine-like. But I'm really, I went from being lukewarm on this neighborhood to really liking it, and I hope that you do too. Let me know down in the comments, is this a neighborhood that you like more now, that you would potentially build in your city or even live in? Let me know. I know it's definitely one of the more unique neighborhoods in the city, but I think it's really striking. So let me know down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. And I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.